What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
Brother Jay, co-host of The Pop here. Excited to jump in today because we have so many tiny little popcorn culture related updates to do today.
There's an enormous amount going on at the moment. We had like a lot of stuff sort of in the past week file into our office space here at SCB HQ.
Yeah.
And we kind of get to kick off by showcasing a few new additions to our physical set here for those who are listening at home.
We do, yes. So if you're watching, you can see some of the stuff already, but otherwise we will have to paint you word pictures with our voices.
Word pictures.
Yeah.
I always like a good word picture.
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah. Okay, so do you want to kick off? Would you like to showcase our new piece?
I will. So I will look here and just say that I'm sure everyone has noticed the conch shell, which is, yes. I thought of what to do with the conch shell, and having had such a weirdly long discussion about it here on the show, I brought it in. It is no longer threatening the safety of my home or my children, or to be destroyed itself, which would be its own little tragedy.
It is a shockingly small piece for a quite large coffee table. I didn't even notice it was sitting there. It's so small.
Yeah, I threw you off too. There it is. The conch shell in question is sitting on the coffee table.
Just right before us. It is like comically lacking in presence.
It is lacking in presence in terms of like, you wouldn't put this on your table in your house because it'd be like, why is there, it looked like you just left it there.
Right.
But as I look at the shot in the camera, I feel like it's like, oh yeah, there it is. It doesn't look small on the coffee table in the camera, even though from where I'm sitting, it does look like we just left a seashell on the table.
I feel like if someone in my household were watching this and I were to like walk up on them like, oh, what are you watching now? And I'm like, oh, it's this podcast. And like, you're watching a podcast? Like, yeah, we're watching a podcast. I'd be like, what's with the seashell?
What's with the seashell? I'd be like, you look, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
You'd be like, and then be like, here, let me pause. Hold on. Let me paint you a word picture, non-listener of the pop, non-kernel. Imagine this. You're walking down the beach. You see a conch shell. What do you do? And they're like, I pick it up. It's free treasure, obviously. And they're like, yeah, exactly. Greatest day of your life. You found a full intact conch shell on the beach before anyone else because obviously no one walked past it without picking it up.
That is. I actually, it's so funny you specified it in that specific way because I do think that's part of the magic. It's like you're exactly right. It's like no one would walk past a fully intact conch shell that they saw with their own two eyes.
Exactly.
So if you have found one, it means you are the first person to set eyes on it.
All conch shells you pick up are first editions.
This is why people want to go to the moon or Mars.
Exactly.
Is because you get to be so many of the firsts.
Exactly.
And like, I don't know why everybody's trying so hard to go to space when you could simply go to the beach and find a seashell.
You can know the excitement of stepping on the moon by merely finding a conch shell.
I think it is the most fitting analogy.
You're not going to find any conch shells on the moon, let me tell you that.
You sure are not. All those rocks are going to be so gritty because there's no wind to cause any abrasion, so they all just have like their typical like shardiness.
Exactly. Although, let me tell you something, Ben. If I were an astronaut, if the day comes, it won't, but if it did. And I found myself on the moon, and you get to like bring a personal item, I would bring a conch shell and I would leave it on the moon.
Yes.
I would do it.
Yes.
And then
you have precious weight that you are allowed to bring with you to outer space.
That's right.
And you bring a snail shell.
Rocket fuel would be spent to move that shell to space.
It would be the most significant shell of all time.
It would. And someday, I would try not to tell anyone, right?
Oh, of course not, yeah.
Because then someday, some future later astronaut would be walking aran who would be like, no way.
It's like, did you guys know that there are invertebrates on the moon?
That was just Carlin. He left it here.
He loves his pranks.
Have you heard about the duck statues all over Earth?
Also him.
Also me.
Like 500 years from now, it's just the trope that the Carlin family has like totally rained all over the place. Like
just littered treasure for everyone to find.
Yes. Okay. So, if people, you know how there's always that conversation like, hey, what would you do if you won the lottery? Do you want to know what I would do if I won the lottery?
What would you do?
I would buy wooden ships.
Yeah.
I would have treasure chests. I would fill the treasure chests with gold, and I would intentionally leave them places.
Like on land, or would you just like fill ships with treasure chests and then sink them in the ocean?
Well, I would have many ships.
You'd have many.
A
Okay.
fleet.
Yeah.
And they would all be shipwrecked.
Right.
And each one of them would have a treasure chest.
That would be tremendous.
Maybe I'll fill it with Bitcoin to make it like, like era specific.
Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, no way. They open it, it's just like a USB drive with a bunch of Bitcoin on it.
There are 4 Bitcoin on this drive. It's like, I'm rich.
Or maybe in the future, it's just like, oh, it's like $4.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's hard to know how Bitcoin's going to age.
How ubiquitous it's going to be in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we need to add a bingo square, which is one of us saying the word ubiquitous.
Oh, okay.
Because I think we do it just about every single episode.
Ubiquitous is a great word.
It's a fantastic word.
Top 10 word.
Oh yeah, for sure. It just like rolls off the tongue. It is the word equivalent of a liquid.
The word equivalent. Wow.
Nailed it.
That was the worst time to misspeak a word. The word equivalent of a liquid.
That is just a hard sentence to say.
Yeah.
Word equivalent of a liquid is ubiquitous.
Is ubiquitous because it's so flowy?
Because it's so flowy. It's like perfect. You know, like it just like fits.
Okay. So on our list of top 10 words, which have been cropping up all over the place right now, I think we have rocket ship.
Yep.
Thrice. Ubiquitous. I feel like we had another one. I don't remember it.
We'll think about it. Yeah.
At some point, we'll have a full list that we've written down of our top 10 words.
Maybe we can just like paste it on like a piece of like wide ruled, like paper, and it's just like our top 10 words just scotch taped to the brick wall behind us.
That'd be great.
Like, yeah, we need that.
There you go.
Like, so for reference, it's our reference sheet.
There we go.
It's like great use of a top 10 word.
Great. Exactly. These are the Carlin SAT words. You need to know these 10 words.
It reminds me of when we were kids, our mom bought us a shower curtain that was like the top 100 SAT words.
Yeah.
So the shower curtain itself just was just words with definitions.
Yeah.
And it was like when we got it, even at the time, I was like, brilliant. Like, it's like, what a good idea.
What a great idea.
It's
now I'm taking a shower. I can learn.
I'm passively taking in this information every single day. And then I remember whilst taking the SATs being like, that shower curtain did nothing for me. Years of preparation literally down the drain.
Well, here was the problem with the SAT shower curtain was that you couldn't read it from inside the shower.
True.
Because it was decorative facing into the bathroom, which is the opposite of where you are in the shower.
You know what we need to normalize?
Yeah.
Reverse facing shower curtains.
Right. Why are shower curtains just for people outside the shower?
No one's there.
No one's there.
It's a bathroom. Make them face the inside of the shower.
Right.
For your personal enjoyment.
Exactly. Or learning.
Or in this case, learning.
Exactly.
Yeah, because there'd be so much to take in. Think about, I could have gotten points higher.
Yeah. The other thing about the SAT shower curtain is that, like, the shower curtain is extended. Mostly, I suppose you're supposed to extend your shower curtain even when you're not using it so that it doesn't so that it dries out appropriately. Is that right?
I have absolutely. If that's a thing, then I would say the only reason that my shower curtain is ever open all the way is mostly because I'm attempting to just block the chaos that is the 47 different bottles of shampoo and conditioner that my wife Alice has purchased.
I see.
Because it is, she can't commit to a shampoo and conditioner. So we have so many bottles. So if you're ever wondering, like, man, your hair smells like lavender today, it's like, thanks. Because Alice didn't finish this bottle, so now I am.
Okay, well, I can tell you that whether or not you're supposed to, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to, when you get out of the shower, pull the shower curtain all the way there so that it dries appropriately and doesn't get mold on it. But I can tell you that as teenage boys, not a concern of ours.
Not even one bit.
Not even one bit. And so that even when you were not in the shower, it wasn't like you could learn from it because it was normally just that the shower curtain was open and therefore the words were scrunched.
So yeah, it was just, it was always like slinked over to the
always
left side.
Slinked over.
Yeah.
So this was a real net zero.
Except we now know the word ubiquitous and rocket ship.
Well, that's true.
So,
that's true.
I mean,
so who's the real loser, SATs?
Look at us now.
Look at us now.
We're dropping two of the best words of all time.
Right into the pop.
Week in, week out. Anyway, so I feel like we were headed somewhere though. Oh yeah, so we were discussing like the new elements of our space here.
Yeah.
So obviously one of the showcase pieces is of course our new seashell, which will eventually probably go to the moon if one of us can ever be astronauts. So I like to call it our space shell.
Our space shell? I was just about to suggest, as this new element surprised you on the set, could it be the seashell of surprise?
It's twice as good.
Oh man. The space shell of surprise.
I love. You want to know what makes a space shell so great?
What?
The space portion of it.
No doubt. No doubt.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine if there was like a meteorite that struck Earth and you were like, hey, I'm going to go get this piece of like Lodenstone, and instead you go and it's a seashell?
It's a
like
if a seashell hit the Earth from space.
Yeah.
Space shell.
Space shell.
Hits the Earth. Yeah. Also, nice name of the wind, Lodenstone reference there. I saw you work that in. In case people weren't listening carefully, you can mark name of the wind off of your bingo card now. Also referencing the bingo card.
Look at us go.
Look at us.
Okay.
Go.
So move on. So we have our space shell.
We have our space shell.
And we have what else?
We have a very exciting new addition to the set, which is the inaugural Stanley Duck. The trophy has arrived. I dare say it even has the first plaque on it. It reads, the inaugural Stanley Duck, Anna at SCB Fan, sticking it to Big Chicken, April 2nd, 2021, episode 69. Boom.
Outstanding.
There it goes.
In atop the Stanley Duck trophy is the very first rubber duck that ever inspired the Duck in a Cup concept here at Super Carlin Brothers, which is this random sort of like troll. You remember trolls when you were a kid that had like the diamond belly buttons and stuff and the crazy hair? So it's a duck that has purple hair.
It has like purple troll hair.
Purple troll hair coming clean out of its head.
Coming clean out of its head. I think we got it at the dollar store, and one day it was for Luke, and I remember thinking like, man, my 1-year-old is like, why would anyone play with this rubber duck with purple hair? And man, let me tell you, Luke really played with it.
Really? Okay. Well, so it feels like this duck, I mean, it's kind of a life-changing duck when it comes down to it. Like,
it is. And it really came down to the, like, I remember sitting there with Luke, who was maybe a year old, and I had finished drinking my coffee, and it was this Slytherin mug sitting in the middle of the living room, and I was like, you know, it's just me and Luke, because like Beth was out running. I was like, hey, Luke, think I could throw this duck into that cup? And, you know, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me like, of course, you can do anything, Dad.
Naturally.
And I was like, all right, let's see. And I threw it, and first shot, it went in. I was like, no way, that was amazing.
I swear, I think it's dad magic. I think that is like dad magic, because things like that happen when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Like things just work out, and it's like, how did that happen?
How did that happen?
It's like expectations now set forever that you can just make every single shot.
Exactly. Along those, I had a moment like this just last night, I think. Okay, so this is an unusual day in Beth and I's parenthood, in that nothing wrong was actually happening. It was just like a first time unique situation was happening.
Okay.
Where I arrived home at about 5:30 yesterday evening after work. And Beth called me while I was driving home. She was picking up like a click list from Kroger. She had all the kids with her. She was like, hey, can you, turn on the oven or whatever? I was like, sure. So she gets home probably like 5:45-ish or so, and we go and unload all the groceries. And in the back seat, Luke has just completely fallen asleep, like on the car ride, which, tends to happen from time to time, especially if he like doesn't nap during nap time, which he almost never does anymore, but not a big deal. He falls asleep in the back a bunch, and normally as soon as you try and get him out, he'll just wake up.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, we'll let him sleep while we unload the rest of the groceries, and we'll come back and it'll be fine. And I get him out, and he is not waking up at all. He is like, In fact, he like wakes up enough to like get the straps off of him. He turns around in the seat, puts his forehead back in between like the headrests, and like curls up into a ball and goes back to sleep.
You're kidding me.
In the car seat. I was like, Luke, oh my goodness, you're so tired. So I bring him in, and I'm like, okay. Just I'll put you on the couch. You can just like watch TV until dinner time. You know, if you want to go back to sleep, whatever. And we turn on something, he watches it for like 30 seconds and is back asleep on the couch. And I'm like, okay. Well, dinner's going to be ready in about half an hour. We'll just let you sleep until dinner time, and then you probably need to eat some food.
Sure.
Well, dinner rolls around. We go and try and wake him up. Not happening.
Oh, no.
He is just like conked out like a seashell.
Nailed it.
Yes,
I was going to say, you're right there.
Oh. I was like, I'm not going to can't miss a conch joke on today's episode.
The space shell.
Exactly.
Okay, continue.
You never see it coming.
You never do.
Exactly. So now me and Beth are like, this has never happened. Luke has never been so asleep that we like could not get him to wake up.
Right.
Like, but like nothing's wrong. He's just really asleep. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go put him in bed, and assuming the walk upstairs will like jar him up, because it'll be kind of like a bumpy walk up the stairs. The transition to the bed probably will wake him up. Not so. Put him in bed. I'm like, so now what? Now what if is he just in bed? There's no way he's going to sleep till morning.
To me,
right?
my expectation would be like, I am signing up for 2 a.m. dinner.
Right.
Like it's going to be like, Dad, I'm hungry.
Yeah. So this is exactly what we're both about. Like, there's no way. Is he going to make it all the way through the night? Or what I was really worried about was that last night Beth was going to like a baby shower or a baby sprinkle for one of her friends who's having a baby. And so I was gonna, it was after the twins were gonna go. It was gonna be after all the kids were asleep. So I was positive that my soon-to-be alone free time was about to be interrupted by 8:30 Luke waking up being hungry. Like, I was 1,000% sure. I was like, I've been looking forward to this free time all day, and what's gonna happen is that this weird curveball is gonna force Luke to wake up exactly when it's supposed to start.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh, no. And I know how much you value that free time.
I do very much value that free time. I had plans for that free time, and I will tell you, it was not interrupted.
No.
It was not.
Gasp.
I know. Luke, he just completely continued to sleep. Woke up at about midnight, though.
Oh, I was almost right. Almost dead on.
Almost. And I was like, we pretty much saw this coming. Like, there's no way he's going to sleep all the way. Right.
Yeah.
And I was worried that this was going to be like, now I'm going to be up for like 3 hours, like to let him get tired again.
Ooh.
Was not signing up for that. But I managed to go in and, I put some jammies on. We got some milk. We read a book. We got back in bed. But as we're laying in bed, he has this like big truck on the floor. And this is what the story is actually about. And it had like come apart. It's like it's like a Hot Wheels truck that can hold like a bunch of Hot Wheels in the back.
So I know the exact truck. Yeah,
exactly. So the front part has like come detached from it, and he's like, my truck broke, and I was like, oh, and I just sort of looked at it, and it's basically just two pieces of plastic that click back together.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it's not supposed to come apart, but fixing it is as easy as pushing it back together.
Or dad magic.
Or dad magic, which is exactly what I think he thought happened. Because I just picked it up, and because I think he must have broken it while playing with Beth's aunt earlier in the day, who was incapable of fixing it.
Okay.
But I just like snapped it back together. I was like, hey, look, it fixed. And I just rolled around. Somebody was like, thank you for fixing that. I was like, oh, you're welcome.
Oh.
And then like I finished tucking him in, and his new tactic to stall, like, let's talk about something. Let's just talk.
Oh, Luke's there.
Which is adorable. So we talked about a few things, and then I'm like, all right, it's time to go back to bed. And thankfully he didn't go back to sleep. But as I'm leaving the room, he goes, thank you for fixing my truck. I was like, oh, it was barely broken, but yes.
That's heart melting anyway.
I know. I was like, oh, this is why kids think their dads can do anything. Because it's like, this was not a hard fix, but I bet in his mind it was like, Dad can fix anything.
Yeah, right. Well, it's so funny too, like how, like, because I remember growing up, we had something like this with our parents, which was that I almost felt like our parents at some point in time decided like which subjects were like their responsibility to cover in terms of like helping us with our schoolwork. Mm-hmm. So Dad was English and history, and Mom was math and science. Okay. And so like in my mind, Mom and Dad were experts in these categories, where it was just sort of like as if part of their training as humans becoming our parents was like they had to choose which things they were going to be experts in so that they could like help us through these particular things. Right. And it was like, I think the same thing was true though, like where it would be so often, or maybe it's just the case they're actually good at these particular subjects, but like I could go to them, ask them questions, and they would have the answers. And like, it would be so curious from their perspective if it was like, I cannot believe he asked me this question because I randomly know the answer, and this is incredible, and like continuing to reinforce the belief that I know everything there is to know about mathematics.
Right.
But like, maybe it was just lucky that day.
Maybe. I feel like I can probably be of good assistance in math up to algebra.
Oh, see, that's like always the thing. I've always thought like, okay, like once they get to algebra, I'll be fine.
Oh.
But like simple addition, no way, man.
I feel like you could handle it.
I think I can handle simple addition.
You got it.
Yeah. The real trick is to teach your kids the square root of 64 when they're like 5.
Right.
Because then it's like
root,
to be able to go into math class and be like sit next to their buddies and be like, hey, do you know the square root of 64? And they'll be like, no, I have no idea. What's the square root of 64? And it's like 8. And then like all of a sudden your belief system is that you're good at math, and even if you don't understand why it's 8, it's like you are now good at math to yourself. So this is my I don't have kids yet pro tip for people who have kids because of my personal experience as an actual living child.
Right. Just let them know, because everyone knows the formula E equals MC squared.
Right.
Like even kids have heard that. No one knows what it means.
Of course not. No.
Of course not. Right. Yeah. But like you're like squared. What does that mean? Squared. 64. Square root. That must be from that formula. Square root of 64 is 8. I'm smart.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's like I am the type of person who like goes home and I have like one of those green chalkboards, because green chalkboards I associate with really advanced mathematics.
Okay.
And it's like yeah, I have like numbers written all over it, but when you get to the end of it, it's like square root of 64, 8.
Doesn't seem like you should take that much math to figure that out.
It takes an enormous amount of math, Jay. I this is like one of those things where I know that there is how little I know about math, that whenever you see those giant board equations, like where the whole thing is up there, it's like I know that these people are smart enough to know that in fact it is all doing something. Like every single piece is like a portion of like solving some larger piece of the puzzle or whatever. But in my mind, I don't buy it. I'm like,
You didn't need that much space.
It didn't require that much. You're including some like redundant things is what I'm pretty sure of.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot of stuff up there. It's like it makes it look all fancy and all that, but like feels like technobabble to me. It feels like you're just saying and showing things that make it seem more complicated than it really is.
Yeah, mathematicians, such showboats.
That's classic. It's like their most known trait is they like numbers and boats that are good for showing.
Exactly.
Because they're using their knowledge of numbers to accumulate numbers in their bank's accounts so they can go buy boats worth showing.
And hide them with treasure inside.
Yes.
Full circle.
We're there. Actually, speaking of that, I do have a real question, because last week I feel like there were a couple of moments, and so we're premiering all of the episodes of Popcorn Culture on the main channel. So like we're in the chat sort of as this is going live. And it's very interesting to see the reactions to the different pieces of the conversation from the people in the chat. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, Jay's getting so philosophical today. And so one of the things that I started wondering about last week is there such a thing in the modern day as a professional philosopher? Like, like back in the day, there were always like, it's like, philosophers, like, and they would have like some like great piece of like ancient wisdom that still maintains true, even though they wrote it in like, 86 BC or something.
Interesting. There must be modern day philosophers who are publishing books, but I wonder if it's like the same as like discovering like electricity, or being like there are these things out there to be discovered, and at some point people were the first ones to do it.
Right. And but you have to be like in the crosshairs of like opportunity, technology availability, and individual knowledge.
Yeah, like right place, right time is big. And so I'm sure like early philosophers must have arrived at the same moral dilemmas that we face today. And it's like these were the first people doing it, and of course these are the problems they ran into, because they're just universal human problems.
Right. The building blocks. Right. But so that's like the interesting question though, is like as we enter like the era of technology and all that, is like, do we need like modern day philosophers that are able to take all of these new elements that are now like introduced into our world, where maybe even like in a world where we live with like maybe a significant amount of like excess.
Yeah.
It's like what do we do with all of this?
I bet there are philosophers out there examining such problems.
See, that was going to be my next question, though. It's like, it's almost interesting to me, or should we have, or is it like one of those things where, like, again, you can't really know that they were good philosophers until like 500 years from now, when you look back on it and you're like, wow, they hit the nail clean on the head.
Well, what's so crazy to me about when people, whenever you watch like videos and they'll be like referencing philosophers, it'll be like, it's never like, someone hit the nail on the head. It'll be like, this person thought this about it, and this person thought this about it. But I rarely ever see someone like full on subscribe to like, yes, Aristotle's philosophy on this totally holds up in basically every situation.
Right.
You know, it's just like, it seems like this was his opinion and this was his opinion. Some people agree with this, some people, it's not like it never seems like there's like a, yep, they got it.
Like a concrete.
Right.
But the weird thing about this, though, is you can still to this day major in philosophy, and yet I couldn't name you a single professional philosopher.
I see.
Right? Like, is that not odd to you at all?
I think they're all teaching philosophy.
It's just like, yeah, like refuel the tank a little bit. It's like a pyramid scheme. maybe that's not a good way to describe it.
No, maybe not. But that is interesting. I don't know any professional philosophers, but they must be out there.
Surely.
They must. I would bet, this is my guess is that they mostly do work for universities. I would bet.
It does feel like they would exist in a very academic space.
Right.
And this is, again, like, it's the type of thing where, like, in this particular field, basically you can only hope to become like Aristotle, or no one will ever know who you were.
Interesting.
Like, you know, it's like the only person who is ever remembered is like that very precipice, like top person.
New thought.
Okay.
I've thought this before, and I think sometimes...
Are you about to drop a thought bomb?
Maybe. Okay. Is that sometimes I think... certain brands of comedians are actually really good at like philosophy because they're like what is funny, like what makes their observations funny is that they've observed like really true, honest human behavior, and they've like recognized it for like the humorous, I can't even think of the right word for it, but like they've recognized like this unusualness,
like the social commentary is there, and they're inserting it into like a comedic like sort of delivery.
Yeah.
But like what they have actually done is identified like, this is a thing, and the reason I can tell you this joke on stage is because I know you will relate to it.
Exactly.
Like, I know you've experienced this feeling, and I can make you be me and go through this entire experience.
So yeah, I think maybe one of the first people whoever thought did this, and I couldn't even give you good examples of it, but I think a lot of people think of George Carlin this way, not related in any way.
It is like it's like we live in where we live. Everybody knows who our dad is because he's been like the newscaster for so long. But so everybody's like, you know, you'd be like calling roll the first day of class, and people will be like, are you related to John Carlin? But then anywhere else we are, like if you're, you know, at a convention in like Salt Lake City, for example, and you walk up and they're like, last name? I'm like, Carlin. Like, you related to George? And it's like, man, does this, maybe this is a fair question though. Does this happen to everybody?
Right.
Like,
does everyone have a name that they're like, wait, that person?
Right. Like, I imagine if like your last name was like Smith or something, and people are like, are you related to John Smith? It's like, yes, 5 of them. Like, there are so many.
There's so many.
Yeah. So that'd be an interesting query to throw out there if you have like an identifiable last name.
Yeah. So, okay, there you go. Maybe comedians are the modern day philosophers. I think I've also thought Bo Burnham, as a very modern, like young comedian today, is like sort of on this track.
Oh, sure.
Of like very keen observations. And like his comedy shows always seem like there's like, yeah, you can just watch it and laugh, but also if you want to go a layer deeper, there's a lot more happening here. Right.
And I do think you're right. That's like where almost he flirts with that line between like comedian and artist a bit. You know, it's like which side of that equation is on, and probably like anything, it's like what can make it great is like you could appreciate it purely as comedy, but if you want to take it in as art, it is also available for further dissection and understanding.
What a skill!
Indeed. What a skill, man. Okay. Interesting. Well, thank you for answering that question for me, because I was like, could I be a philosopher? Like, could I like change career paths and be like, because I imagine these are people who like sit in like a chair and think all day.
Yeah.
And like maybe they have like a chessboard, but it's not a chessboard in front of them, and it's like a bunch of like abstract pieces that they can like move across the board, and all those pieces like mean something inside of their beautiful minds.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. Actually, it would be very curious to me if you like started reading philosophy books, because I feel like maybe that's like the thing you've been searching for. Like you will have so much introspective thought and so many like, I feel like you often take a lot of shots in the dark about stuff, and like I feel like maybe it would backfill like the rest. Like you've observed something, and you like maybe this is a thing, but maybe it would give you like the why and like the foundation upon which to like you've like reached something really high, but you don't have the ladder to get there.
Yeah,
and it's like now like I see this, and I know that, but why? And this might maybe that would backfill a lot of stuff for you. It would.
And so frequently too, yeah. I feel like when I'm having like conversations with people about these particular types of things, it's like that's what's happened. It's like I've like there's been something that like maybe like needles me, or like, you know, like I just spend like an enormous amount of time thinking about it, and I'll start to have what I believe to be fairly original thoughts, and then like, you know, if I dig into it, I usually find that like it's not an original thought at all, but I also know that like, to me, the only place it came from was my own brain.
Right.
And so it's like, well, at the very least I got here
on
my own.
Yeah.
So you're right. Maybe I should just get into philosophy, and then I'll be twice as annoying to be around.
No, I don't think you would. I think it would be very interesting, because you would not just be like arguing from like a point of wonderment. It would be arguing from a point of like, actually, I have a lot to back this up.
Ooh.
You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. I like that. It would make me feel so much more armed for conversations as well.
For sure, yeah.
You know, because my goal with typically anything is like, you know, I would love the opportunity to help guide someone's perspective.
Yeah.
You know, so like if I know enough about something to where I can like really speak on it like with confidence, then I feel like I am like a valuable person to be there. But it is so few and far between that is the particular case. Like I am so worried at all times. Like I am at least according to my professional counselor, like a grade A people pleaser.
Which that's you.
Yeah, which typically means like you can say something right in front of me that like I like actively disagree with, like in every way, shape, or form, and you will never know. like you know, it's the type of thing where it's like I could literally go from like a conversation with this person who has a radical opinion about this to a conversation where someone has the exact opposite, and both people will think that I was on their side.
Right.
Like it's just like, oh, interesting. Okay, I get that. I can see like where you're coming from. You know, it's like that's like my like, you know, it's like it's not essential for me to like contest necessarily the way that everybody might feel about something.
Right.
You know, especially in mostly I think it's because if I don't have a really like what is the right way to describe it? Like a helpful way of maybe like guiding this, or maybe like even like further educating or like bringing points to the surface. Like I don't want to be critical.
Right.
Is sort of the key thing. It's like my goal with anything, if I'm ever going to try to change your mind on it, is like, okay, I'm going to start where you are, and it's almost like I'm gonna come to your side of the valley, and let's together build the bridge back to my side from your side.
Right.
You know, so it's like it's not like I'm going to concede and meet you in the middle, like where we're building bridges at each other. It's almost like, let me help build the bridge with you. And to me, I feel like that's like that way people don't feel like they're being talked down to.
Right.
Which is typically, you know, it's like anybody who's going to approach any type of opinion that's like radical in some way and being like, you're wrong and here's why. It's like you have lost that person.
I imagine I think listening to hear you say it, it sounds like very much that is the best possible outcome you could hope for. But I imagine what you run into a lot of is you want to build a bridge with someone and they just want you to build a bridge to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, very frequently I think that there's an enormous amount of that. Like, you know, this is I think one part being highly introspective and one part being a people pleaser is like a little bit of like both ends of the spectrum where, you know, you want to not cause an argument with somebody. And this is like, again, like where if I don't feel educated enough to help guide the conversation, then I'm not even going to try.
Right. Strong opinions about strong things.
Yeah. Strong.
You have like enough self-awareness to know that you don't have enough information to have a strong opinion about a strong thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's yeah, I think that's where you have to be very careful. And well, at least for me, you know.
Right.
And it's like I would rather leave everybody out there as allies who I can work with in a way that where it's not like I've like burned bridges by way of being like, no, I don't like the way you think about that, so I'm dismissing you as a person.
Yeah, right.
It's like we may disagree on this one particular thing, but that's okay because we can agree on other things.
All right. Well, while you're over there people pleasing, can I contest something?
Please do it.
All right.
Contest away.
Okay, so we were talking about.
I agree with you already. I'm sorry for what I said.
No, maybe it's not contest. Maybe it's more like a clarification thing. But you were talking about watching the live chat while we were premiering some of the popcorn cultures.
Yeah.
And in the last episode, we were talking about holding grudges. And I gave an example of an analogy of like holding a grudge against someone is like drinking poison and hoping the other person will die.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like to me, when I first heard that particular phrase, I was like, oh man, that released a knot in my stomach almost. I was like, I get it. I hear it. But as we were talking about it, the chat just suddenly turned to like, wow, that was super dark. Oh my gosh, what poison? Ugh. And I was like, wait a minute. No, this was a really positive. This was very helpful. What's going on? I don't feel like people understood it.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh no. This is, I don't know. That wasn't meant to sound like really dark, but I'm just going to explain it. So
okay.
Because it is like it planted a seed in my brain. So here we go.
A poison seed? Or a poison plant that you could then like put in one of those like mortise and pestle
right
thing, and like kind of like, you know, it's like because you already made your guacamole, so now you're making your poison.
Yeah. No poison.
Okay.
So I don't know. So really the point of it was that like not that you are actually hoping someone will die or something.
Sure.
Or you're not trying to poison people. It's just that if you are like holding a grudge against someone, it's like the chances are that person does not know. It's what that phrase means, like you're drinking poison and hoping the other person dies, is just that like you are taking in a lot of pain from the grudge.
Right.
Whereas the other person is like blissfully ignorant of it.
Right.
So it's like there's no like positive outcome in holding this against someone because you are the one dwelling on it and being hurt by it because that the grudge is the poison.
Yes.
And it is harming you and you are aiming all of that harm at them, but it's only hitting you.
Yes. Yeah. And so I think that this can actually go back to a story from very early on in the pop. I think I was telling about where I was out walking my dogs one day and, you know, like they were doing their business, going to the bathroom, and it was in front of, you know, one of our neighbors who was a friend of ours, like, you know, front yard, and we had our bag and we're like picking up after him. And this woman comes like power walking down the street and she was like, oh, beautiful house. When did you move in? And we're like, oh no, we actually live down there. And then she like looked at like the situation before us and gave me like a really aggressive glare and was just like, you know, it kind of kept going. And it was this thing where I was like, what just happened? Like, yeah. I was like, as far as I know, I'm following all the protocols here. Like I actually know the people who live here. Like we're very friendly with them. You know, like if they came over and asked for a hammer, we would be like, no probs. Like or a cup of sugar or something. You know, so it's like good friendly relationship with a neighbor. But even beyond that though, it's like as far as like my mind was concerned, I was like, this is pretty standard protocol for this particular situation. People walk their dogs. I watch people, you know, pick up after their dogs in front of my house constantly. Like, never even think twice about it. And so, you know, it was like this thing where I was like, what happened? You know, and you're right. Like, so, I mean, like it sat inside of me for, you know, several days. And I was like, what? Like, why did this person get upset with me? Like, I don't understand.
Like, I was just doing what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. And so it was like, oh man, like this person, like, you know, like was upset with me for something. And like, and the other thing too was that she kind of like walked off. And so I was like, it's like, I don't really know how to resolve this. And so then like literally just by happenstance, there was like a few days later, I was outside like grabbing something from my car or from the camper or something like that. And this woman happens to walk by and I was like, I like flagged her down. I was like, hey ma'am, like, can I talk to you? And, you know, I tried to, you know, be whatever is possible, like very, very friendly. And
right.
Like,
yeah. Very cordial.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, but this, like, it's been something that's like been weighing on me for like several days now. And so I was like, can I just ask you about this? Like, 'cause if I did something wrong, like I obviously I want to know that I did something wrong, but like this feels like pretty common procedure. Like even at the park down the street, there are like stations with like dog bags specifically for doing this exact thing.
Right.
It's like there's a lot reinforcing my belief that this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it was exactly that though. It was like, it really, like I sat with it for several days. And I think for her, it was the type of thing where like, probably the same thing too, where she is really big into like gardening and her whole front yard is like very beautifully manicured or whatever. And so I think for her, it's kind of like if a dog goes to the bathroom in my yard, it is causing damage that like is directly going against my specific goals. And I have like signs about it and I'm very sensitive to it. And, like for her, like she has like a very specific reasons and same thing. So like she's holding this poison inside of her towards all people walking their dogs. And then I was holding the poison from this person who gave me like a scoffing look. And so, I was like, well, let's just chat this out. And I ended up talking to her for like 20 minutes,
wow.
Like out front of my house. And I think by the end of it, it was kind of like, okay, like we feel good. But I remember like, like starting that conversation and I felt, it's almost like a teacher calls on you in class, like, cause you were like talking to a friend or something and
right.
your heart jumps into your throat and you're like about those like tears are about to come out right now. I'm like breathing really heavy, the whole thing. But it was good. I think it was like very helpful for me to then ultimately actually have that conversation and kind of like diffuse.
So wait, I know you've told this story on the pod before. I'm sure it's been a while, but wait, why was she upset with you?
But basically for the exact thing. So she had said that she goes, according to her, she goes walking, every single morning and she constantly sees people not picking up after their dogs, which I know my neighborhood and I know that this is absolutely not the case. I've seen, it's like you see it constantly. Like you could go anywhere and pass 10 people walking their dogs.
Right.
And so she was like, I had just passed a whole bunch of people already this morning. And she was like, I held my tongue to every other person. And I finally got to you and you were the person. Then I just and it just came out. But
you were picking it up.
I was indeed.
Okay.
And so I think for her, she just felt like even the very fact that it was there to begin with has already caused harm.
I see.
Like it's as if like, you see that area, like the grass isn't going to grow the same right there. And that was the reason, that she was upset with me. But I think hopefully maybe it paints your analogy well. I've actually had another one. Can I bring up another instance? Because this almost ruined my weekend. And it was so surprising.
This past weekend?
This past weekend.
Okay.
So this was like a really odd and very like unexpected response. But I have to tell you that like I've almost been like fearing this exact thing happening. And so I think that's why it like hit me so hard.
Okay.
So we've been talking about Name of the Wind, obviously, an enormous amount. Like I almost feel like it's like a laughable thing at this point in time where people in the chat right now are probably being like, wow, you guys read the Name of the Wind? And it's like they're saying it like ironically.
Yeah.
But so it's for the past year for me, which has been, kind of like a brutal year. There's been like an enormous amount going on. It has been like my safe haven, I've like genuinely in a way that I don't normally have the ability to like become attached to things, have like loved it so much. And I mean, it does remind me of like the very early days of like discovering the Harry Potter books where it's like, I don't want to do or think about anything else other than this. Like, this is what I so care about.
Figure out this whole world.
Yeah. Even like down to buying like the merchandise from it. Like, it's almost one of those things like with the Harry Potter stuff. It's like, we have acquired through doing, like what we do, so much of like the things that if something new arrives, it's usually because we're using it for like a functional purpose in like a video. And it's like, oh, that's cool. Like, the prophecy, like we didn't have this before, but now we do. But I wasn't getting like excited about it. But like with the Name of the Wind stuff, I am like buying the items and then like following the tracking until it shows up at my house.
I've got it.
It's like, oh my gosh, the thing just got there. The poster. Yes. And it's like, I'm very into it. So we had our first Name of the Wind theory go out on the SuperCarlinBrothers main channel this past week. And, like I was fully expecting for it to not perform, up to the standard that like the typical stuff that we cover does, because it's probably a wildly significantly less well-known fandom.
Right.
So in my mind, like I'm not really expecting, for this to be on the trending page or anything like that. I mean, even if it was the best theory we had ever written, I would fully understand that that's not what it was.
Yeah.
But for me, in a lot of ways, it's like, it doesn't matter. Like the fact that I get to have more conversation about the name of the wind with the people out there is like, that is all that matters to me.
That's
like,
the good part.
Yeah. So like savoring it. So this whole time though, and this kind of goes back to sort of this like troubling past maybe where so many things that like I've looked up to, there's always sort of been this like thing or slight or like something against it to where, it's like, ooh, like I used to look up to that person and now I have to like reframe how I felt about that entire thing.
Right.
So the classic examples I've always given, would be like growing up, we were a big Virginia Tech football fan.
Right.
And like the very first game I ever went to was with Michael Vick.
Right.
And Michael Vick obviously went on to have, a whole lot of controversy. And then with our dad growing up, we were huge into the Tour de France. Like every year, it was like we would all sit in the living room with dad for the month of July and watch the Tour de France. And like Lance Armstrong was like a household name. It was like a whole thing. And then, like obviously that became a problem.
Right.
And like the Harry Potter books themselves have had like their stuff going on. And so like with the Name of the Wind, it's kind of been one of these things where it's like I've been like so terrified of anybody bringing to surface something like about this story.
Right. Like what's going to happen? What's going to be the thing?
Yeah. Like, and so it's like I love, like I cherish it, like I do not want someone to take this from me, and I don't want to have to like reframe my brain again.
Right.
And have to just like take this thing that I love and then have to like figure out how, like where I stand on it again. And so I got an email from somebody over the weekend, and they were talking about how basically like obviously these books have been published now for over 10 years. And during that period of time, a lot of the people who were fans of the original work of it have
like right when they came out.
Right when they came out. Yeah. I mean, they've been in purgatory for a very long time.
Yeah. Waiting for book 3.
So no doubt. And the same reason that I want to talk about it so much is because there's tons of speculation and discussion to be had about all of the characters and the names and like, what does this mean? Like, how does that fit together? And like, all the stuff. So this person sent me an email that was pretty scathing about the fact that we were like talking about it on our channel and how it was like maybe going to like be disrupting the like original fandom and like the people that were already out there. And the thing is, I know that people are going to be like, hey, you're bringing this like enjoyment to new people. Like don't worry about like that one person who's upset. And I get that entirely.
Yeah.
Like I know that this is like one person out of like throngs of people who have sent me messages thanking me for recommending the story and for being excited about it. So I completely understand that there's net positive on the whole here, but it was that first jab that I got, and it was one of these things, because normally, if we get an email like this, it's kind of the type of thing I just sort of be like, okay, like someone needed to get their thoughts off their chest. I understand that, but it's whatever. But this one, it was like, I got it. And same thing, like my blood pressure like went up, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't like, and I think it's because I had feared it so much, like this very thing I didn't want to have happen. Right. And it did. And so, I mean, it sat with me literally. I mean, it was Saturday afternoon, and Alice was like, is everything okay? And I was like,
I'm dwelling.
And that's exactly it. I was like,
I drank the poison.
I drank the poison. I was like, honestly, it's like, I can't believe that this is the thing that's like upsetting me, or like why I'm like down a full day later. But it's like, I got this email yesterday from this person. I told her the whole thing. I read her the email, and she was like,
this is what's bothering you?
Yeah. And like, I think from her perspective, she's like you guys get stuff like this every once in a while. Like this isn't like on the whole new, but it was the first like negative anything I've gotten in relation to like this entire excitement and hype and buzz that we've had about this particular thing. And so again, further illustrating your point, that this person probably too, again, it's like from their perspective, because it was a well-written email too, it's like they're probably just getting something off their chest. It's like we've already had these discussions like forever ago, and now here you guys are coming on like center stage with it, and it's like, well,
we just found it.
We just found it. Yeah. It's like,
we like it.
there's nothing else I can say other than sorry for being late to the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry for being late to the party.
So there you go. Anyway, so that's been pressing on me, but I was able to let it go as the weekend went on.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Glad to hear it. For the most part.
Yeah.
Well, goodness. I'm surprised that's what you said was bringing you down this weekend, because as I understand it, you had what seems to me to have been a worse incident over the weekend.
Yeah. You mean not being able to see for an entire day?
That's the one.
Yeah, yes. That did come up. Come up. Yeah.
Yeah.
So over the weekend I had what felt like innocuous situation happened, but I was getting up. It was Sunday morning, and Alice and I had this like whole day planned out. We were gonna go and like just do like this and then that and then that and then that, and everything was all mapped. And big plans. Yeah, because Sunday is like the only day that her and I are both off together. So it's usually like when we get that time together to like go do something. So I'm like getting up that morning, and like Indy, our dog, is laying in bed with us, and like I'm sort of like stirring. It's like 7:30 or something like that, and Indy's like, she's like ready to go. She's like, okay, like it's time to be fed. It's time to go outside. Like I want to go play with the other dogs. Like all the stuff. And so like I'm sort of like in the process of literally sitting up, and she sort of like crawls up my chest and just sort of like is pawing at my face and just literally scratches me right across my right eye.
Right. And when you say across your right eye, you don't mean that you have what looks like a scratch from like your forehead to your cheek.
Right, kind of like a la Scar from Lion King.
Right. This was a scratch on your physical eyeball.
A scratch on my eye.
Right.
Yes. And so like, it was like all at once, like in like one split second, and like as I'm like literally about to put like a foot on the ground to start the day, it was like
didn't even get out of bed.
I'm like, oh my God. Like I was like, my eye is in so much pain. It's like, this is bad. Like this is bad, and I don't know what to do.
Right.
And so of course then like Alice immediately springs up, and we're like, oh like let's try to go like rinse it out. Like maybe something got in, like maybe she had like a dirt or something. It's like now in my eye. So I'm like,
your first assumption isn't my eyeball is scratched.
My first assumption, is that like it's just I need to get whatever is in here out of here ASAP before it does scratch my eye. And so I'm like literally like standing in the shower like pulling my eye wide open and just like letting like water like splash into it and everything, and it like hurts so bad. So I get out of the shower, still hurting, can't get anything to do with it. So it's like 2 hours later, and Alice is like, we need to go see like a doctor.
Right.
This is
we gotta get this checked out.
It's like so something clearly is wrong. Like this is not good. So we go, and like at this point in time, the problem is that your eyes are always facing the same way, and it hurts the most for my right eye to be facing forward, which meant that I couldn't open my left eye either because it would orient my right eye forward. Can you imagine that? I
guess. So wait, does that mean, I guess when your eyes are closed, are they not also just immediately facing forward?
I think when my eyes are closed, they go up. Is that right?
Man, I don't know. I can't see because my eyes are closed. I'm like blinking now, like, wait a minute. Are my eyes moving?
Well, so maybe my theory is wrong. The point is that if I were to open my left eye and my right eye was still closed, like just winking, which I can do now, like no problem at all, it was still the same amount of like agonizing pain, and I couldn't even hold my left eye open, which was completely unscathed. Right. So I'm like, for all intents and purposes, I can't see anything.
Right.
And so like, Alice drives me to the doctor, and she literally has to like get out of the car and walk me to the door where the doctor then has to guide me to like the back room and sit me down. It's like, I don't even know like which building I'm in.
Right.
Like I can't see anything.
Right.
And, they do this whole thing where they put this like almost like phosphorescent like drop that like both numbs your eye and, like hold up a black light to it, and he was like, whoa, yeah, you scratched your eye, all right.
Oh no.
He knew within like a split second.
He was like really obvious.
Yeah, he was like, all right, open your eye. It's like, whoop, yep, there it is. Like, I don't even have to look. You scratched your eye. So it's just like
great.
It's like, well, gosh darn. So the only good news is that at this point in time, I know like, okay, it's not something in my eye.
Yeah.
So now I can stop trying to like flush it, which is good. So now
we know what it is.
Now I just gotta like let it heal. But so for the entire rest of the day,
right,
I cannot see anything.
Ugh.
So it's like we haven't been staying at our physical house because of the renovations. We had the floors done, and so part of on our to-do list for this particular day was the first time we were going to be able to get to go back into the house to see the floors. So Alice drives us over to our actual house. We go inside, and I'm standing on my brand new refinished hardwood floors, and Alice is just like raving about how gorgeous they are, and I'm on top of them and cannot see them. Oh my
gosh, yeah. So insult to injury. You've been forced out of your house for a week to refinish the floors.
Yep, and finally get to see the finished product and
you can't see it.
And so
I'm like,
oh my God, I'm so sad. I just want to see what it looks like. So yeah, I mean the rest of the day is just like literally by the end of it, we go back to Alice's mom's house, which is where we're staying, and we're literally like I'm sitting on the couch with my sunglasses on because my eyes are just shut, and it's kind of like weird for me to be sitting there. And I mean, it looked like something from like Weekend at Bernie's or something, where I'm just like sitting there like with my head kind of like tilted sideways with the sunglasses on, just like they're both watching a movie and I'm just listening to it.
Right, like, yeah. I mean, I'm surprised you weren't listening to Name of the Wind.
Me too, honestly. Me too. Yeah, I didn't have any.
You had like a great excuse for 8 hours of uninterrupted listening.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I should have done that.
Oh well, next time.
Next time, indeed. Next time I can't see for an entire day. That's what I'll be sure to do.
What a weird problem to be. Not. Yeah, I'm just going blind today. That's no good.
I know. Yeah. So that's basically what it was. I mean, everything. Like if I had to go to the bathroom, like Alice had to like literally. She was doing this thing where I would like put both hands on like her shoulders, and she would have to like walk me to the bathroom and like orient me inside. And yeah, it was just lots of feeling along. So it was a bizarre day.
Well,
it was a bizarre day, but I can see now.
Well, that's good.
Yes. Oh, yes. Thank goodness.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
You're healing.
Big weekend,
dude. Okay, so what I've been enjoying seeing over the past week or so is if you go onto our Reddit page, people have been posting up a storm about receiving their Fred the One True Cup.
Fred the One True Cup. I know it is so exciting because I was so excited about how many people signed up for this tier on our Patreon to get that like first quarter exclusive piece of merch.
Yeah,
and I'm so happy with how they turned out. And like everybody, like so if you got one, you have to take a picture. You have to share it with us somewhere. We want to see it. We can actually show them here, like right now on screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see people with their Fred the One True Cups.
Thank you, Ethan, the editor, for going the extra mile and showing some images.
Yeah.
To the people who can see.
Who could see.
Otherwise, you're listening like Ben was this past weekend without sight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the good news is that we're painting word pictures.
That's right. We're painting word. Imagine, if you will, someone holding up a beautiful, glorious travel metal coffee mug. It's got laser etching. It's the popcorn culture logo. Their thirst is quenched in a way that has never been quenched before.
Right. And you know that this person is gaining daily joy by not having to decide which cup am I going to use.
They know what cup they're going to use.
Because they now have Fred, the One True Cup.
Imagine that smile on someone. The smile of someone who knows the cup they're going to use at all times. That's the smile on the faces of the people on the Reddit.
It's the best. It's the best. Almost as good as the smile you may receive from this week's corny joke.
What? The corny joke?
The corny joke. We need like a jingle or something for that.
We do need a corny joke jingle.
Yeah. Something there. Maybe Ethan will have added something that is like almost appropriately lackluster. It's like ding. Like, yeah. Okay. So anyway, this week's corny joke comes from Maximilian Demarest.
Great name.
I know, great name. There are not enough Maximilians out there that go by the full
Maximilian.
The full run of it. Yeah.
I know Maximilian Pegasus. He was kind of a big villain.
Maximilian Pegasus?
Maximilian Pegasus. He's the antagonist of the first season of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He has the Millennium Eye.
Right. Oh, I was going to say.
Right.
Yeah.
It lets him see what cards his opponents are holding.
That does not seem like a fair...
No, exactly. Yeah, he's super cheating. Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Classic Maximilian Pegasus.
Classic.
Okay, so I don't. Again, this is I've sort of like diverged from like me asking you jokes because a lot of people send in like these like they're just like funny like things to say. So maybe not even like a corny joke so much as a corny sentence. As it were.
Give me the corny sentence of the week.
Here comes a corny sentence. It goes, I was at the store today and picked up some coconut shampoo, but when I got home I realized I don't even have a coconut. You get it?
Again, like this is the shampoos for the coconut.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Especially because coconuts have like, you know, like
a little bit of hair.
A little bit of hair. Yeah. So like,
can you imagine something like, I shampoo my coconuts?
Right. It's like,
get nice and clean. Give me the conditioner.
Nice and clean. I know. Very exciting. Very exciting. The other thing that we've completely missed out on for the past couple of weeks. So I could not be right with myself if we missed another fun fact about coyotes.
Another fun. Before you deliver this week's fun fact about coyotes, not to immediately derail you.
Oh, derail me.
I will say that as we do have the lovely trophy for the Stanley Duck on set, and we'll soon need to be deciding who is going to receive the second Stanley Duck Award.
Right
at the end of whatever, June, right?
Yeah. Yes, how do quarters work? Yeah.
How do quarters work? When's the 6th month? Yeah, so at the end of June, we'll choose who gets to have their name put on the second half or the next side of the trophy.
The great thing about the Stanley Duck Trophy is that year in, year out, it will continue to grow. Like, we're going to buy like new layers for it. So it will get like taller and more majestic as time goes on. It's going to be incredible.
It's going to be great. Yeah. Well, let me say, there was a pretty good submission this past week where someone got their GMA sticker.
Yep.
And they don't live in Arizona, but they have a friend who lives in Arizona. And they posted a video of them mailing the sticker to Arizona, and their friend putting the sticker on the Arizona Coyotes like big sign out in front of their stadium, and then walking away. So there is now a GMA sticker on the Coyotes sign.
What?
I know. I was like, that was pretty good.
That is so good.
That was pretty good.
Oh my gosh, it's goals.
I know. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's one step away from the locker room.
One step away.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, like literally if they had just like stepped forward one more step, they would have been right in the midst of it.
Right in the midst.
Wow.
There it is. That's pretty good. I just wanted to bring that up. Anyway, what's this week's fun fact about Coyotes?
While we're on that note, right? Yeah. Like the Arizona Coyotes, who I think are currently in the playoffs.
No.
I believe they are.
The Coyotes?
The Coyotes.
That doesn't sound like them from what I know from hearing about it from other people.
Well, you know, Phil Kessel's on a hot streak. So.
That makes sense. Phil Kessel.
Classic Phil.
Classic Kessel.
Okay, so this fun fact about coyotes comes from Brady Fitzgerald, who says the scientific name for a coyote is Canis latrans, and that translates to English to barking dog.
It's a barking dog.
I was like,
so just dog.
but yeah. I was like, that is so interesting.
Yeah.
Like it's always so interesting to me. Like I don't actually understand why there are scientific names for things. I'm sure that it makes sense like within the scientific community.
Yeah.
But there are always, it's like why not just have the scientific name just be coyote?
Why not?
Right?
Yeah.
Like wouldn't that just make as much sense?
You'd think so. I don't know the answer to that. I guess it's more of like a classification thing. I'm looking up whether or not the Coyotes are in the playoffs, NHL playoffs, or like, is that even what's happening right now? I don't know if it's there yet. The top headline is NHL standings seeding scenarios breakdown for final spots in 2021 playoffs.
Okay, so we're close.
I guess it's possible they've already clinched, but that also doesn't sound like them.
That doesn't sound right. Okay, so maybe I've overstepped my excitement about the whole Coyotes.
I'm going to figure it out.
What will happen, Jay, if... I mean, I will feel like I will have directly impacted if they win the Stanley Cup for the first time, now that we've declared them the official team of...
The official hockey team.
The official hockey team of popcorn culture.
Hockey. Yes, okay. Let's see. We're going to figure it out. The Arizona... Okay. So they are... according to this website and this article, which was posted 4 hours ago, their playoff probability is 37.2%.
So great.
Basically 1 in 3. They have 7 games left. They look like they are, as I'm interpreting this, I don't know how hockey playoffs work. It looks like in the West Division, it looks like each division maybe gets 4 members into the playoffs. That seems like
reasonable.
And it looks like they're in 5th. Of said division.
Okay, so they just need to inch their way up. Who's in front of them right now?
The St. Louis Blues.
Oh, one of the only teams I've ever actually seen play in real life.
Lest we'd started this podcast, I would have said the St. Louis Blues was my go-to hockey team, as it is the only team I have ever bought tickets to go see in person.
Yeah.
And they did win the game we went to, which was cool.
Now
they're our worst hated enemies.
Yeah, our rivals.
The St. Louis Blues, who have 48 points. at the moment, and the Coyotes have 47 points. So there we go.
We're in it, people.
We are in it. We are in it to win it.
Everybody
got to make the playoffs. 7 games left. Go Coyotes.
Is it okay to hope that that as a collective, all these people who had like no slot chosen for their favorite hockey team, that they have maybe now defaulted? I think be Coyote fans
for sure, and I think that extra energy is what's going to help the Coyotes. Like they don't know where all of a sudden there's like magic in the air.
I know it's like there's some buzz.
There's some buzz, like some popping.
Yeah.
Like, what is that? What's that sound?
Does it smell like fresh butter and popcorn?
Wow. We should play harder.
We should. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go. Fight. Win.
Is that Edna?
That was Edna.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, so as we round off, I think this week's episode of The Pop, we need to let everybody know where they can find us, which is basically everywhere.
Basically everywhere.
We're on Twitter. We're on Reddit. You can email me directly at popcornculturepod@gmail.com.
As long as you don't have bad things to say about the name of the wind.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk to me about it, that's like one thing. Because I've had people who I've engaged in like very productive conversations with, where maybe they had taken issue with something, but I was able to then have like a meaningful discussion with that person.
Build a bridge, as it were.
Build a bridge. And in some cases, maybe like
a stone bridge.
A stone bridge. Oh, good point. And it's been around for so long that people don't even know where it came from.
That's a throwaway line that definitely has implications.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But that's the thing. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not that you can't send me like feedback. You know, like if you want to talk, we can talk. That sounds great. But, otherwise, popcornculturepod@gmail.com. I really appreciate any corny joke or fun fact about Coyotes submissions, especially if you are like a Blues fan and now that like we're arch rivals. It's like
that's right.
It's totally
You're going down St. Louis.
Right. But like we're all winners at the end of the day, so it's all good.
Except for St. Louis, we're losers. Get ready to sing the blues.
Otherwise, guys, also we have the GMA stickers, which are available over at SuperCarlinBrothers.store. If you want to purchase a set of 10 of those, place them somewhere, take a picture of where you've placed it, and enter yourself for a chance to have your name forever engraved on the Stanley Duck trophy.
Indeed.
Those are available again over at SuperCarlinBrothers.store. And finally, you can find us on Patreon. It's patreon.com/popcornculture. We have kind of like 6 tiers when it comes down to it, but a $5 tier, which gives you access to the After the Final Pop show, which is basically Jay and I recording an additional 15-20 minutes of what has turned into the feet up discussion. So if you're watching, you know that we have a coffee table in front of us as we record After the Final Pop. We always put our feet up for some reason.
We do. You can't see it though because it's audio only.
but you can hear.
You can hear
the relaxed nature of our voice.
Right.
And people tell us it's a great way to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Just listen to it as you doze off.
Right. It's like the sound of the ocean, which you can also hear inside of a conch shell.
Exactly. I think that there actually is a sample of an After the Final Pop available over on Patreon if you want to give that a listen before you.
Okay, wait, Ben. I have a question of great importance.
Okay.
If you had a conch shell on the moon,
and
could find a way to lift it up to your ear, would you still hear the ocean? Is there like, or is it like a function of existing in an atmosphere with air?
Well, I imagine if your head was outside of your astronaut's helmet, then you would not hear anything
because you'd be dead.
But like let's assume you could survive.
Yeah.
For like let's say you had the ability to survive for 30 seconds. So you could like take your helmet off, hold it up, see what happens. I think you would hear nothing. But I think that if you held it up inside of your helmet, I think you would probably still hear the ocean.
Okay. I want to know if you could hear the ocean inside of a conch shell on the moon outside of your helmet.
You should @Hank Green.
Well, oh my gosh, this sounds like a fantastic Ask Hank TikTok question.
It does.
Okay.
It does. Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody
I'm gonna.
So do it. Send it this way. Maybe I will.
Maybe I will.
That's our favorite line from Soul.
Maybe I will.
Otherwise, you can find us over on Patreon at patreon.com/popcornculture. At the $25 tier, you get access to that quarterly exclusive merch. Last quarter was the Fred the Cup Yeti mugs, which were laser engraved, the whole 9. We're still waiting on the prototype to come through for our Q2 piece, but that should be coming any day now.
Oh, I so thought this was going to be the week.
I thought it was going to be the week, but otherwise, guys, until next week.
Pop.